Today we are going to answer a viewer question from one of you guys who has been watching our channel. If you have any real estate related or Oregon related questions, feel free to send us an email. I will put our contact information below. And also, before we get into it, if you are someone who is thinking about relocating to our area, just like the person who had asked this question, that is what this question is about today, or kind of what it revolves around, is about relocating to our area. If that's you as well, feel free to reach out anytime. We get calls, texts, and emails all the time from people who are thinking about moving to Oregon, and we absolutely love it. We love our relocation clients. So feel free to reach out as well. We would love to help you find a house here in Oregon.
I feel like being a realtor, there's always like this question aura around us. And the number one question I get while in public and even at the gym for people that know, or family members, especially like on holidays, is how's the real estate market? You know, like it's that number one question. And everyone sometimes it comes off really hot. Hey, how's the real estate market? Or it's more of a critical way of thinking of, hey, how do you think the real estate market is right now?
Or I hear a lot like, sorry to cut you off, but I hear a lot like, it must be hard. I just got that yesterday. I was with someone and they were like, oh, I bet it's really hard selling real estate right now. And
my reply to, oh, real estate's so hard, or, oh man, you might save your, closings for another day. I'm like, I'm just not working enough or not talking to enough people. Because in the end of the day, this business, it is on us. So it's on us to reach out to you guys, educate you, but also to provide you with such great service. We get you from beginning to end, whether the beginning's just getting your email and setting you up on a property watch, or the end closing at the closing table for handing you keys to your new home. That is our goal. And we can't do that without these videos, you guys, your support, but also educating ourselves to keep us familiar with what today's current market stands for. Because there has been dramatic shifts and mindset changes, especially for sellers and buyers on both ends. And that's what's making this really unique. And I don't want to turn this into a market update show, but I just have been hearing that question, whether it's in the back of my own mind just to express and tell you guys about, or just from other people, is how is the real estate market currently? Mariah, do you have a great answer to provide our audience with that one question? How's the real estate market, Mariah? So
the market's a lot different than it was a year ago. We're seeing homes sit on market a little bit longer than, the craziness, the madness that we saw. That wasn't normal. We've talked about this, I feel like, in recent shows, so I won't go too in depth on everything. But days on market are a little longer. But with that being said, they're still shorter than they were pre-pandemic. So it seems like a big shift, like, whoa, it's really slowed down because we're not seeing homes sell with 20 offers the day that it's listed like we were back in 2020, 2021. But they're still selling faster than they were back in 2019, 2018. So there's opportunity, whether you're a buyer or a seller. The first thing you want to do is talk to a lender and run the numbers, see if it makes sense for you, because I know, interest rates are higher than they were, but rent is also a lot higher. So it just depends on your situation, and running the numbers and seeing what, works for you is my advice to someone who might be wanting to buy, but they're not sure. And when I'm asked that question, I can't, in public go off and give them a 5-minute explanation of what the real estate market is like, but off the top of my head, I reply back with, well, it's not for everybody. And then that usually intrigues them, and they're like, well, why not? And, well, for one, interest rates are so high. What's the downfall? What's the upsides? Well, equity growth's so heavy. We have an equity-rich market. And if we are able to find, like, for sell-by-owner off-market property, we can purchase and write you an offer for that's lower than market value. Kudos to you, an unbelievable opportunity there. But keep in mind, buyers, I'm talking to buyers right now,
every lender is on this track. We're doing a buy down, getting closing costs paid for, but also think about your future 2, 3, 4, even 5 years down the road with a refinance. The whole goal right now is for home ownership. If you're a renter, if you have equity in a home, you're selling, looking to purchase elsewhere, maybe in a different state, there's a lot of opportunity out there for you guys right now, especially because inventory is so low, we're able to compete and write offers that might not have to be over ask price right now on particular properties, but we are getting closing costs and buy down rates paid for. And think about this. Maybe you're used to using a conventional loan. Nothing wrong with that. You can of course buy down with your offer. Ask the seller, hey, contribute X amount towards my closing costs and buy down. Usually they're accepting that right now if the conditions apply. But if you are a seller, the hardest part is, where are you going to move? Where are you going to exchange your current mortgage for a new mortgage in today's market with a higher interest rate?
Yeah.
The reason this is happening is for people wanting to move out of state, get out of Dodge, as I like to say, which is happening. There's a lot of Oregonians doing that because we are in an equity-rich market.
Yeah.
I mean, so much equity in the last 3, 4, 5 years. But the reason it makes sense for them to move as well within state is life, but also downsizing. I see a really big one with, it's hard for me to say this, but categorizing people, the older generation. So people 60, 55 plus, whatever, maybe they're widows now, retiree, they're on 5 acres. Who knows the scenario, but you're wanting something smaller.
It's a lot to take care of.
That is where today's real estate market, I feel like, is gearing towards when you are a seller. Yeah. It's for the individuals wanting to downsize. You have high equity. You've been in this property for 15 plus years. It's basically paid off at this point. You want to purchase something cash, be mortgageless if you can, and it's downsizing. So the thing you're purchasing isn't higher than what you're currently living in. So it makes it more comfortable for you.
Yeah.
So if that's you, feel free to reach out. You're a seller. You're interested in what the home value is worth. Go to our website, actually. We have a free home evaluation. Type in your property address. It'll submit a form to us letting us know maybe you're interested in selling or wanting more information about your property, and we can get it done for you in just a simple phone call of 10 minutes.
That's true.
That's my market update.
I love it. Another thing that I always do, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I feel like I need to add talking about the housing market because you hear so many different opinions, you hear so many different things. And at the end of the day, I feel like the phrase or the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side, can really apply to the housing market. And what I mean by that is, you hear a lot from buyers, I think maybe it would be a good idea to wait to buy until interest rates lower. And maybe it is a good idea for you. Maybe you looked into it and the numbers don't make sense, and maybe that would be a good idea. But for one, I don't believe that interest rates will ever be 3% again in our lifetime. Maybe they will be, but I don't see it happening.
That's gonna be tough.
And then also, so we can't really predict that. But then also, we have to keep in mind when interest rates lower, things get more competitive. When we had those 3% interest rates, getting an offer accepted was so difficult, especially for first-time buyers, but really every single price range was seeing $40,000 plus over asking just to get something under contract, multiple offers, waiving the appraisal, getting an offer with a USDA loan or a FHA loan. We almost did not see those loans at all, like hardly ever during those couple of years. And so that's where, you have to look at, there's pros and cons to any market. If you're waiting for interest rates to lower, well, that might make sense for you, but just keep in mind, when they do lower, we're going to see a zillion more buyers come back out, and it's going to be so much more competitive, multiple offers again. And if you're wanting to buy with a USDA or FHA loan, probably not the best time, to just be completely honest. So that's my, spiel about
beautiful
the housing market. We're seeing more buyers get closing costs paid for, which is amazing. Another thing we did not see at all when things were more competitive. So there's pros and cons to all the markets. So now that we've talked about
we got some questions.
We've got some questions.
Some good ones.
And they are more about the area. Yeah, moving to the area. Okay, so I'm just going to read through there's only a couple, the questions, and then we can kind of go through and break it down one by one. So This viewer said, we are looking for an area. They're thinking about moving to Oregon. They're looking for an area that is great for families with children and has good schools. They would also, that was the first thing, they would love to be somewhat close to the coast as well if possible. And then also they asked, do you have any recommendations in the areas of Salem, Albany, or McMinnville that have safe, family friendly areas and are just good neighborhoods for families in particular?
Okay, the hard part was I hear the word coast. Well, I don't know what's close enough for you for the coast. So we could be 45 minutes, we could be an hour, we could be an hour and a half.
Just to clarify, though, they asked for those towns in specific, like, let's just say Salem,
Albany.
so they know how far Salem is. They already know how far it is, so they don't need to be like 10 minutes,
So I hear those three towns, and then I also hear you got kids, school districts important.
Yeah.
And then when I'm looking at that, I think you guys want to have a good resellable property here in the next 5 to 10 years, because once kids are maybe grown up or so, you're going to be maybe moving and transitioning elsewhere. So I'm also focusing on area with a high focus and resale value for you, because realize, yes, market is pretty high right now on sales prices. But if you long-term wise stay there, you're going to be set up because of the area you're placed in.
Yeah.
So that location factor still does apply in real estate, and long-term especially. So I'll be thinking about that one. What do you think, Mariah, a good school district would be for them to stay in?
So what I would say is those were, a couple different towns that we were given specifically. And what I would say is I can't just say, this town itself, like let's just say Salem or Albany, all of the schools there are good or all of the schools there are bad. Just like any town, really, you're going to find schools with high, better ratings and with worse ratings. And then, there's everything in between. All of these towns have public schools, private schools, charter, like there's all sorts of options. And so it really just depends. I think good is kind of relative. It's like what you're looking for and what fits for you and your family. But if we're just talking like better school ratings, which I'm assuming is what you mean by that, then there is a resource called schooldigger.com. I would recommend looking that up because you're able to see specifically, which schools are in each neighborhood or side of town that you're looking in, and how they rate. I will just say because there are, let me just, I guess, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is there's going to be higher rated schools and lower rated schools in all of these towns. So for Salem specifically, though, you're going to see better school ratings. The highest school ratings are going to be in West Salem and South Salem. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see lowest school ratings would be Central Salem. I hate to say so. Yeah. And then Northeast Salem, for the most part, they're not as good of school ratings. So that's just kind of in a nutshell. But
yeah, and West Salem, I mean, I do believe, it does have the number 1 rated school here in Salem.
A lot of people move there. Yeah, a lot
of
people are moving there from out of state just because they...
Which on your search, it's going to be Northwest Salem.
Yeah.
Northwest Salem, zip code 97304.
Yeah.
If you put that zip code in, it's going to give you across the West Salem Bridge. So that'll be benefiting for you in your home search. But if you are interested, I'm actually going to be heading over to West Salem after the show for 2 showings, virtual showings. If you are interested in that area, we have a really nice property watch feature on our website. Feel free to view that, but also contact us and I'll manually put one in for you, so you're getting automatic alerts whether you're in Oregon or out of Oregon. It's always nice to be connected with today's market to let you know what you can afford over here.
Yeah. And then I guess just to say, to answer kind of the question in a whole, I know this isn't really specific, so this maybe isn't the answer that you want, but just being completely honest, I do believe that each 3 of those towns that you gave us do have things for families. There's things to do, there's great options, and I do think that there are great neighborhoods in each of those towns for families.
Remind me of these towns. It was Salem, Albany,
McMinnville.
And McMinnville. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, each of those towns, you're going to find great neighborhoods. And by the way, on our channel, we have a whole playlist of neighborhood tours where we drive through different neighborhoods and kind of just give you a feel of what they look like. So hopefully that helps as well. But
and I mean, we are a little biased, because we live in Salem. We do like living in Salem. Everything for us just seems connected, whether it's West Salem, North Salem, Kaiser, even in South Salem. There's always just a one roadway that can get you across town, and everything I would say is like 15 to 20 minutes away across town wise. So everything I would say is doable if specifically you're looking to do most of your tasks in workplace here in Salem. When it comes to Albany, I would gear it kind of the same way, but Albany is very wide, I would say, from east to west, because there is another bridge in Albany, and I mean, it's like almost connected all the way to Corvallis in a sense. So just keep that in mind. Salem, it's more geared with I-5 on kind of I-5 splits us in half with Northeast Salem and Central Salem.
That's a good way to put it.
Which is good. I mean, it's good access. Freeway access is everything, especially living on this side of the country here in Oregon. Having I-5 is a huge bonus. But I mean, school-wise, I don't think it would really be right for us to steer anyone in one direction, even town. But what I can say is I am biased because I live in Salem. So, like Mariah said, go visit that website, which was what?
schooldigger.com. And that's why I can't say, like I've shared this before, but legally there's lines, we just can't cross as real estate agents. So I can't necessarily just say this is a bad school or this is a good school or this is a good side of town or bad side of town. But that's why we like to point you to these resources. And we can say, this school is better ratings, obviously, because it's a fact, than the other, or this, side of town is better crime ratings or school, whatever. So we can just lead you and point you directly to those resources without saying this is a bad side of town, because at the end of the day, what makes something a good side of town or a bad side of town is going to be so relative. I mean, I've lived on we've lived on one side
People say that's bad side of town, but when you're living there, it's really not.
Right. We've lived in an area of Salem that maybe doesn't have as good of school, has worse school ratings and crime ratings, and it's not known as desirable necessarily a side of town, and we loved it. We felt very safe there. We were in a great neighborhood, great experiences. It wasn't, I don't know, it all just is perspective and what you're looking for and where you're coming from too, because I've also had clients say, just find us the cheapest house you can find. We don't care what side of town it's on, because where we're coming from,
exactly,
your bad side of town is going to look good compared to where we're coming from. So
that's always fun working with those clients.
Keep in mind, it's all just what works for you, and it's all so relative. So anyway, I think that is it for today.
There's got to be another question.
Else? Well, that was it. I mean, that was just one that I wanted to bring on. That was just like the one question about those areas. But I mean, we really drug this out. It's been like 25 minutes.
That's fine. That's fine. So how let me ask you a question, Mariah.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. If you were a new buyer right now entering the market for the first time, what is the one tool you would be using to find a home?
Okay, so if you are going to find a home, one of the things that you are able to do is you can head over to our website. We have a really great home searching system, I guess you could say, because a lot of buyers, they're just looking on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com, and those websites are great. You can totally look there too. That's not a problem. But a lot of times I will get an email or a text or whatever from a client saying, I'm interested in this house that they found on one of those websites, and the house isn't even for sale. It's just not that updated. So you're going to find the most up to date on our website because it is directly linked with the MLS. So it's going to be as updated as the multiple listing services, which is what we have access to as realtors. Much better, more accurate, I guess, way to search. And that is VettrusCrawfordRealty.com. Of course, I'll put it below, and we always put it somewhere in here as well. And
it's really nice because you can create your profile, do customizable searches. I know not everybody has a generic 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot property watch.
Yeah.
You need specifics, such as maybe the master needs to be on the one story or the first story, maybe it's a 1-story home in general, riverfront property. There's all types of niche properties that you can create property watches for that makes it absolutely seamless. You can even work it just through an app, and it keeps us connected with homes you find attractive. And I think that's the number one importance. And the answer I was getting to is making sure the relationship between you and a broker, if you're serious about the home buying process, is only with one other agent. Because once you start stirring and going to open houses, working with 10 different agents, you're getting 10 different property watches. Ultimately, you're going to get confused, but then you're going to forget conversations you've had. And I mean, I'm just the type of guy, like yesterday, I'm on a phone call and I have the upfront conversation saying, hey, I'm going to honor you, working with you solely, sending you home, setting up showings, but I need the same in return. And she honored that, and it's just that honor talk that I get to have with my clients. So feel free to view our website and create your own profile. It's very easy. First name, phone number, email, bam, you're locked in. And
is there a specific spot they should go to on the website to do that?
Well, on the homepage, if you're looking for a home evaluation, I know this button, is you press the contact and then you go to sell, and then it'll pop up your free home evaluation. Get it in seconds. But if you're looking for a property watch, you just collect buyer, and then it'll prompt you to create a login, and then it'll even prompt you to set up your own property watch of a specific property. Maybe you have your eyes out on, maybe a certain home, city, square footage, that type of thing. So get specific with your details, but not super specific. You're missing out on opportunities of homes that are available you could like.
Right. Okay. Last but not least, before we end, let's just share. This might be kind of hard because it's, trying to paint a picture for people who have never been here, because a lot of our clients that are moving here, they've never been to Oregon, and a lot of them never come here until after they close. So maybe just in a couple words, even try to describe, even if it's like geographic location, size, differences between, because we were given 3 towns to, kind of asked a little bit about, between Albany, Salem, and McMinnville. What would you say, kind of like describing each of them in just, maybe it's proximity where they're at or how big they are. And again, on our channel, we have done videos where we've gone really in depth on, what you need to know before moving to Albany specifically, or Salem, and like different towns. So you can check that out as well. Okay. But this is just like quickly.
So geographically, imagine Salem being the center, Albany south of Salem, and McMinnville north of Salem. McMinnville, we're going to start up top. It's going to be northwest portion. You're going to be a little bit closer to the beach. But when I hear and see McMinnville, I think of historical, very, what should I say? There's more, not tile, but brick being laid in buildings. They're bigger because they are connected. They're branched off of Sherwood, Tualatin, Newburgh. So you have the Portland side access, which I really dig, and I love that. Real estate, it is a little bit more expensive, especially, like I mentioned, it's a little bit north of Salem. So the more north you go, the more expensive things generally become.
The closer
Salem, obviously, we can go with the capital of Oregon. That's in the middle, center. The one thing with Salem is it doesn't necessarily feel like the capital, because there is a specific rule. You go to Portland and the buildings, they're high rises, a lot of more concrete, a lot more city tone when you look at visual appearance. Now, Salem is growing, I can give you that. But there is an ordinance here in Salem. No building can be higher than the capital. So that gives a weird, I guess, visual of the city, especially when we look at the downtown area. Yes, we have a historical part downtown. We have historical walks and homes and that type of thing. But Salem, I would say, has more parks, more, I guess, political party, I would say, because think about it, we're in the capital, but it's centrally located to the majority of things. If you want to go to Eastern Oregon, you get to hit Highway 22, Beach, Highway 22. So you're getting the northeast, southwest access to a lot of opportunities Oregon provides. Albany, similar, because it's only a 20-minute drive from Salem. It's just south. So what I'm liking about Albany is property sizes tend to be a little bit bigger. You still get I-5 access. The prices are lower than here in Salem, which I personally enjoy. Yeah. The difference is I feel like atmosphere in Albany is just different than here in Salem. The atmosphere is smaller, obviously. It's not the capital. And so there's not a high rise, there's not concrete. It's going to be a smaller historical downtown area.
Yeah, really little downtown.
But what I do love about Albany is all the mom and pop shops that they do provide and offer, especially in the central Albany portion of that town. And I mean, their school districts aren't bad either.
Yeah.
And the location, it's still similar to Salem, but just not quite because if you're living in Albany, generally you're going to stay in Albany to do all your shopping.
Right. Because you have everything you need there. It's
need.
smaller, but they do have, shopping.
Yeah, they have all the big supply stores.
There's
Costco,
a little mall.
Home Depot, Lowe's. There is a mall. They have a good
little mall.
I think their mall section is
I haven't been there in forever. And then another thing to add though about Albany real quick is something that we see a lot is people who are they're maybe moving here to work in Corvallis, purchase in Albany because Albany isn't too far. It's kind of just like on the outskirts there of Corvallis, but home prices are going to be so much lower. Corvallis home prices have gotten super crazy. And I mean, it's a really cute town. There's, that's a whole nother topic, but it's a cute town, but home prices in Corvallis are even higher than in Salem. In Albany, the home prices they're kind of getting up there, but they're just a little bit lower than Salem. You can get a little more for your money. Right. And I mean, every family that we've helped move to Albany has been very happy there. Yeah. So
yeah, there's a lot of good opportunity all around us. I do feel like new construction, if that is something you're interested in, I mean, people are still building and the cost is by far lower than it was. I mean, during the pandemic, that was pretty outrageous.
Crazy, yeah.
With supply and lumber. But I feel like home prices, if you're looking at new construction, that's kind of like settling. Everything just seems to be like $685 plus if you're looking to be new construction. But it does come with like standard 4-bed, 2-bath at least, 2,000 square foot, 3-car garage. Now, the lot sizes is really what I feel like is kicking a lot of people out of that market.
Very little,
But it's still really good homes. And the quality, I just feel like they are putting a lot into the visual appearance. So the cosmetic side of these new construction builds are phenomenal.
Something I've noticed about a lot of the new constructions that I've shown recently, at least, is a lot of them are, like you said, I haven't seen any that aren't, I don't remember how long, any that aren't like super, super small lot sizes. So you're going to have just a teeny tiny yard, but they've done a really good job. Although it's a very small lot size and the yard is super, super small, they've done a really good job of like making it a good use of space still. Like they still made it entertainment friendly. Like it's usually pretty private and there's a little patio. Like they did a good job, I guess, in making it as entertainment friendly as possible, even though it is small.
Yeah,
so,
they make it so you don't feel like you're missing out, even though in a lot of ways you are without a big backyard, Yeah,
just depends on what you're looking for. Okay, so thank you for hanging out with us today. We come on here every week. Actually, we've been coming on here 3 times a week lately. So if you have not already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything. And we'll see you next time.